Hello, just a quick one before we get into today's episode. I'm running my next Amazon Seller Support and Connect session at 12:30 p.m. on Wednesday the 6th of May. It's completely free, and if you're selling on Amazon and feeling a bit stuck or you've got questions you want answered properly, this is for you. It's a relaxed session, part update, part Q&A, and you can bring whatever it is you're working on. I'm going to put a link in the show notes for you to book your place. It's completely free. I'd love to see you there.
Welcome to the Bring Your Product Idea to Life podcast. This is the podcast for you if you're getting started selling products or if you'd like to create your own product to sell. I'm Vicky Weinberg, a product creation coach and Amazon expert. Every week, I share friendly, practical advice as well as inspirational stories from small businesses. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to this episode of Bring Your Product Idea to Life. So today I'm speaking to Lisa Whalley-Smith from Clarity Marketing. Lisa helps founders to scale their D2C businesses, doubling website revenue within 12 months. Lisa also works as a fractional marketing director or as an advisory or product basis, with 80% of her clients being female founders. So I invited Lisa onto the podcast today to talk about how to double your website revenue in 12 months or less. And this is a really fantastic episode. It's very practical. Lisa explains the metrics you need to focus on and the exact things you need to do to increase your website revenue. So if you are selling anything online, which I'm sure you are, this is definitely one to listen to. You're going to get some great practical tips that are really going to help you improve your website sales. So I would love now to introduce you to Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
So can we please start by you giving an introduction to yourself, your business, and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Lisa Whalley-Smith. My business name is Clarity Marketing, spelt with a K, and I help scale brands by driving their website revenue, tripling or doubling their sales within 12 months. I work with purpose-driven founders, so anybody that makes a product that's better for you, your children, or the planet. And I've worked in product marketing for 20 years, 25 years, helping brands to grow. I now specialize in growing e-commerce businesses, so looking at driving website revenue for purpose-driven founders.
Brilliant, thank you. So I've invited you on today to talk about how to double your website revenue. So when you say that, what does that mean in real terms for some of the brands that you work with?
So I've got two examples to run you through. The first one is EcoEgg. So I was the head of branded marketing at EcoEgg for a number of years. And when I joined the EcoEgg business, I looked at the website sales that they had done in the year previously. So I looked at an annual amount of sales. The annual sales through their website was around about 150,000. So I took that as my kind of starting point. I fiddled around, did all sorts, and within 12 months, the website revenue had grown. So over the 12 months, after the 12 months that I just looked at, had grown to 450,000. So in fact, we tripled the website revenue. So that's one way of looking at it annually. I had a client last year. She was doing about £8,000 to £9,000 a month, sometimes £10,000 a month. And when I helped her with her rebrand and her rebranding of the website, rebuilding of the website, I tracked her sales every month. And within 7 months, we were doing £20,000 per month rather than £8,000 or £9,000 per month. So we doubled her website revenue within 7-8 months, pretty much. So that's the doubling. You can look at it on an annual basis or just look at it on a month-to-month basis. But the tracking is so important. You need to be looking at that growth every month. And in both of those examples, every month showed some growth. And so over a long period of time, you're getting that doubling effect.
That's amazing. Thank you. What brilliant results. And I'm so excited you're going to talk us through how we can do it for ourselves today. But I'd love to know, before we go into how we double our website revenue, who is this going to be most relevant for? Established brands, those in the early stages, people making a certain number of sales, or will what you talk about be relevant for everyone?
I think there's a lot to be learned about setting your website up correctly. but that's probably a separate conversation. This is about growing your website revenue. So you have to have a bit of revenue already. You need to have some people visiting your website. You need to have some people buying your product. You even need to have some people starting to repeat purchase. So I think the best sort of indicator would be if you're doing about £5,000 to £10,000 a month already, there's a lot of scope to be able to grow that business. If you haven't sold anything, there's no sales to double. So it's a kind of different kettle of fish. So I would say you're doing about 5 to 10K a month, and I can help you to double that.
Perfect, thank you. And is that partly because then you've got some metrics and some data to go on?
Yeah. I mean, you have to have a bit of brand awareness. You have to have people visiting your website. You need to have people buying your products. And a lot of that needs to be happening organically and needs to be happening over and over again so that you have got some data to analyze. Absolutely.
Perfect, thank you. So Lisa, please tell us, how do you double your website revenue?
Oh, it's a secret. It's not just one thing. It's a lot of things kind of that all work together. But if you set yourself a target, there is one thing that you do need to do, which is increase certain metrics by 30%. It's like a little golden calculation. You have 3 metrics, ideally, that you need to look at to determine your website revenue. And that is the number of people visiting your website, how many of those people convert into a customer, and how much that customer spends. So that is your website visitors times your conversion rate times your average order value gives you your revenue. If you can increase those 3 metrics by 30%, your website revenue will double. And I'll just run through the metrics as an example. If you've got 5,000 visitors per month and your conversion rate is 2.5%, and they're spending £20, your revenue every month is £2,500. If you increase your website visitors by 30%, you've now got 6,500 visitors. If you increase your conversion rate by 30%, you've now got a 3.25 conversion rate, 3.25% conversion rate. And if you increase your average order value by 30%, that's now £26 times those 3 metrics together, and you've suddenly got £5,500 as your monthly revenue. So if you know your metrics and you know how to increase those metrics, aim to increase them by 30% and you will have doubled your website revenue.
Thank you. Wow. I love a good formula. Thank you for that. Wow. I mean, I know it's not going to be as well, I guess it is going to be as straightforward as that. But I guess the next thing to talk about is how do we actually increase each of these metrics? Should we start with traffic first? Because that's obviously the first one. How do we increase our web traffic?
Well, you say traffic's the first one. I would actually start with your conversion rate, because there is no point increasing your traffic until you've increased your conversion rate. So my number one piece of advice would actually be focus on your conversion rate. So if you don't mind me putting the order slightly differently, I will come on to traffic.
Do.
Only
do.
because
And actually,
it sort of makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah, because you can increase your revenue by increasing your conversion rate, and you don't even need to increase your traffic. I mean, obviously to scale you do, but the first thing you need to look at is your conversion rate. Just to define what your conversion rate is, because it's actually a little bit, I think, contentious, because if you have a Shopify website, Shopify will give you what your conversion rate is. Now, a conversion rate is basically expressed as a percentage how many people you're converting from a browser into a buyer. So Shopify actually measure it using website sessions. Now, website session is, say I visited your website 3 times, that's counted as 3 sessions, but I'm only one person. And if I place an order, that's only one person that's placed an order, it's not 3. Shopify use sessions, which I think is a little bit confusing. When I work out conversion percentages, I use unique visitors. So I would take the number of web orders divided by the number of unique web visitors times it by 100, and that gives you your conversion rate. So that is a really key metric. If you can increase your conversion rate with the same amount of traffic, you can increase your revenue. So how to increase your conversion rate? There are lots of ways, and there's a lot of things that will affect your conversion rate. But one of the key things that I think really helps is to make sure the traffic that is arriving at your website is the right sort of traffic. You've got to make sure that your social media messaging is correct. You've got to make sure that anything you do outside of your website that's driving traffic to your website, that feeder content, it has to be a really good quality so that by the time people get to your website, they already know a bit about you. So if you've done a good job off your website, when they arrive on your website, the conversion rate is likely to be better and you can improve it. So improving your social media, for example, improving your messaging, those sorts of things, that helps increase conversion rates. Another thing that really, really helped when I worked at EcoEgg was we introduced what was called a starter kit. And this basically gives a website visitor a bit of a clue as to where to start with the brand, because sometimes a brand might have lots of products, lots of different flavors, different variants, and you're not really sure kind of where to start your journey with them. So having something that is a clear indication of this is where you start your journey with my product, like a discovery kit or a starter kit, really helps direct the website visitor to that product and just makes the conversion into a buyer so much easier. We introduced a starter kit at EcoEgg. It was our best selling product literally weeks after we introduced it because people were like, oh, brilliant. This is where I start with your brand. And the products that were in the starter kit really made sense. They were our best selling products and then products that kind of complemented our best selling product. So have a think about that. Obviously, the way people navigate around your website is really important. If you've left off key bits of information, if you haven't told them what the delivery cost is, if they can't find facts, you've lost them. They're not going to buy if the content of your website isn't informative and giving people the information that they need. So that's another thing that really helps to increase the conversion rate. And one of the other things that I would absolutely recommend is capturing visitors' emails. That allows you to talk to them via email, nurture them, and give them a 10% off code, talk to them about your values, talk to them about, the founder and how they set up the business. And that really helps to convert that browser into a buyer. So all of those things increase conversion rate. There are many more things as well, but that's just a taster for increasing the conversion rate.
Those are brilliant things to start with. Thank you. And I really liked what you were saying about your social media. And I hadn't actually thought about the fact that it starts before people even land on your website.
Mm-hmm.
That people need to understand what you're selling. So when they get there, they're not surprised. They don't think you're a candle brand and they get there and they go, oh, actually, you sell something completely different, which I know is an extreme example. But I didn't actually think about that all of your messaging needs to lead them towards what it is you actually sell. So that's brilliant. Thank you.
I think feeder content is really important, whether it's just your social media, whether it's an article, whether it's an influencer that's talking about you, whether it's an ad that you've placed on the side of a van, whatever it is, that content that's feeding people to your website needs to have the right messaging.
Thank you. And how about average order value? Let's talk a bit about what that is and then how we increase it.
So another word for average order value is basket spend. So it's basically how much people spend per transaction. And you calculate it by taking your total web revenue and dividing it by your web orders. So it's a simple numerical value. It's, depending on the product that you sell, it might be around £8. It might be around £25. If you're selling expensive jewelry, it might be £150, £200. But it's the average amount of money that your website visitor spends per transaction. And if you can improve your average order value, again, it means that each of your customers becomes more profitable. And again, let's increase that before we increase the traffic.
That makes sense. I like that because you're right. Wild traffic is, I guess, what gets people to your website. If you haven't got the other things in place, there's no point driving more traffic, is there?
Well, it means that if you've improved those two metrics first, your website traffic is going to be of more value because you know you're going to convert more people and get them to spend more. So focus on those metrics first. And also, driving website traffic is A, more expensive, but B, actually easier because you just buy eyeballs, you buy traffic. It's quite easy to buy traffic. So get those two metrics, the average order value and the conversion rate, sorted first.
That makes a lot of sense. So how are some of the ways we can increase the average order value?
Okie dokes. So again, I'm going to use probably EcoEgg as an example because I worked on that brand for about 3 or 4 years and I tested and tried so many things, and these are the things that worked. So first of all, having a good range of products. If you've only got 2 products, it's really hard to increase your average order value because people have only got 2 products to choose from. So you do need to have a good range of products. If you've got stuff that's kicking around a warehouse that's out of stock, put it in the sales section. If you've got stuff that is kind of coming towards the end of line, put it in the sales section or bundle it together with something else. Bundling products together and making kits, gift kits or just bundle options really helps, because what you're doing is you're saying, hey, rather than just buy this, why don't you buy this that is complementary or matches this as well, and we'll give you a little bit of money off. So bundling together things and having limited edition products, special fragrances, flavors, something that's only available for a few weeks, that also increases average order value because people think, oh, I'm going to buy that in addition to what I've already bought. One of the things that we played around with a lot that really works as well is having a delivery threshold. So everybody charges for delivery pretty much on Amazon Prime. Obviously, you don't charge for delivery, but on your website, you normally would charge for delivery, but offer free delivery over a certain amount because people love free delivery. We get so used to it because of Amazon Prime. So if your average order value is around, say, £19.90 or something, why not offer free delivery over £25? Because then people are going to put an extra product in their basket just to get the free delivery. That works really well. You can either have it running consistently, so you always have a message of free delivery over a certain threshold, or you can use it promotionally, which is this weekend only. You'll get free delivery if you spend over 30 quid. Well, people will start literally putting £30 worth of stuff in their basket in order to get that free delivery. So that's incredibly powerful. I mean, I know I'm a sucker for a free delivery. I'll spend more just to get the free delivery.
Oh, I do this all the time. It's like I have to spend £4 more to get, I have to spend maybe £10 more to get the free delivery that costs £3.99 anyway, but I will put that £10 product in my basket.
But it works. It absolutely works. And the other thing that works as well, which a lot of websites, if you've got the clever technology to be able to do it, is the upselling at checkout. You can do cross-selling per page. So, you're on a page and normally slightly, below that product, I might say, hey, we noticed, that you're looking at this product. You'll probably also like these products. And they give you a selection of products, which allows you to continue your journey through their product range and hopefully add more products to the range, to your basket. So that's pretty easy to set up, but having a kind of add-on, like an app, a widget that allows you to try and upsell at checkout is really good as well. And you'll probably have seen this on some websites. You're literally about to check out and they go, hey, would you like? And this little thing comes up and it's like a kind of cheap, smaller priced item that you think, yeah, I'll just pop that in my basket. Or it's a complementary item that really works well with the products that you've already got in your basket. And you think, oh yeah, actually, I'll get the gift card, or I'll get the wrapping, or I'll get the extra something that adds to the product experience. And you find that you've actually put, quite a lot more money in your basket than you first of all wanted to spend. So that works really well. And then obviously promotional mechanics. Again, I tested so many different offers and promotions, and giving away a free product when you spend over a certain amount helps people to spend more. 3 for 2 actually means that people start putting 3 items in their basket because they're getting 3 for 2 rather than perhaps the 1. Or a certain percentage off when you add so much money into your basket, so many products into your basket. All of these things help the person to spend more. Obviously, we're not, trying to brainwash people into buying more. And normally it should be a helpful process. It should be, hey, if you've bought this, actually, we know you're going to like this other product. So why not, buy the two together? So it is about being helpful rather than just kind of trying to con people into buying more.
That makes sense. But I think we all have free will, don't we? And I think most of us, well, me anyway, I can't resist when I feel like I'm getting a bargain. Or as you say, it's actually nice when someone will say to you, if you're buying this, you might need that. Because especially if it's a brand that's new to you, you don't know that. So I really think what you're saying about being helpful, people
Yeah.
really need to understand that it is helpful. Because if I go to a new website, as you mentioned earlier, sometimes you're not quite sure what you want and what you need and what products might work together. It's genuinely helpful, isn't it, when you
Yeah.
get that sort of guidance?
I was on a website and I was looking at a little pair of sort of mittens. They were fingerless mittens. And I thought, oh, I really like those. And as I went to check out, it said, oh, we've noticed you've got these in your basket. Would you like the matching scarf? And I was like, yeah, cool, because I hadn't seen the scarf. And so that actually really helped me. And when you've got quite an extensive product range, you don't necessarily go through the whole product range to know what else is there. So it can actually be really helpful. If you're buying something that comes in a gift tin and you didn't realize that that gift tin was available and you were buying the product separately, to actually have them all together in a gift tin because they've just said, hey, why don't you buy this instead? Maybe not in addition to, but instead of, but it's more money. Again, is useful because actually that helps you make the item more giftable. So I think it is, handy, definitely helpful.
Definitely. And I think these are really good things that people can start thinking about how they can do this within their own product range. I think it's really exciting actually to sort of think about how you can be more helpful to customers, but also hopefully increase your order value at the same time.
And it's really exciting to watch the numbers change because just making a small change, you can see that small change, and then you make another change and you can see that change. And when you affect both of those metrics, more people buying and them spending a little bit more, the kind of cumulative effect is like, oh my God, I can really see this making a difference now. And once you see that that's made a difference, then is the time to go, right, I now know that I can throw more people at my website. I'm going to convert more of them and they're going to spend a little bit more than they perhaps would have. So then you're confident that sending traffic to your website is really worth the money that you're potentially going to pay to drive that traffic.
That makes sense. And that's actually the advice I always give people with Amazon as well. Get everything in place first. Make sure you've got everything as good as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
And then start driving traffic, whether that's paid or otherwise. But often, let's face it, often it's paid. And I don't think, as you said at the beginning, you want to be necessarily paying for traffic if there's other things you can be doing first. So let's say we've got all of these things done. We've increased our conversion rates, our average order value. How do we then get more traffic?
There's a lot of ways. And obviously, as I said before, it's like this does tend to be the more costly element of driving your website revenue because you normally do have to pay for eyeballs. Obviously, you can pay for advertising, be it Google or Meta. You can pay for PR. PR can be incredibly effective. It can also be incredibly sort of non-existent. I've had both. I've had things go absolutely nuts and viral on PR and drive huge volumes, and then I spent the same amount of money on PR and had absolutely nothing. So it is a little bit risky, a little bit hit and miss. Meta and Google ads 100% drive traffic, and as long as you are targeting the right sorts of people for your products with the right sort of messaging and you've got a good conversion rate, Meta ads and Google ads can be incredibly effective, and actually they work together. It's better to have both rather than just one. Good search engine optimization, I think, goes without saying. You don't always have to pay for SEO. It's quite a commitment, but there are things that make your searchability better. Having a blog on your website and updating it regularly, making sure that your website is optimized so that if people are searching, especially now with AI, people are using longer searches, rather than going party dress, they're going red party dress, knee length, sleeveless. And so people are getting much more specific with their searches. So make sure the content on your website reflects normal standard searches that people are looking for. SEO is also really can be really great for you if you've got a lot of other people talking about you. So if you've got influencers or people creating content on social, any sort of brand noise means that you're found more in searches. So that's really helpful as well. Obviously, social media can drive traffic. It's not a massive traffic driving engine unless you're using, I think, other people to talk about your brand. People are far more responsive to referrals and recommendations than they are to you talking about your product and your brand yourself. Social media is much more about awareness, I would say. But if you use social media effectively, so partnering with other brands, running competitions, using influencers, that can drive additional traffic. And lastly, which I'm a big fan of, email marketing. You don't think of email marketing as kind of being traffic driving, but what it does is it gets people to go back to your website. If you've collected their email from your website and you're talking to them via email, you're getting that repeat visitor back to your website, which is increasing your overall website visitors as well. So it's important to use email marketing to get those repeat website visitors.
That's brilliant. Thank you. So I guess there are lots of things that can be done. How do you work with clients, Lisa?
So I work in a number of different ways. A lot of the work that I've done over the last couple of years has been analyzing and kind of diagnosing people's website. They're like, oh, I'm doing some sales, but it's not very consistent. I don't really have anything in place that's bringing in consistent sales. Can you help me? So I literally get under the car bonnet, so to speak. They give me access to their website, access to their email marketing. I review their website from a customer point of view. I also review it from a brand point of view and a marketing point of view. And I will compile a list of ways to increase your average order value, ways to increase your conversion rate, ways to increase your traffic, things to change. I look at navigation, I look at product range, I look at product sales, I look at product focus. I mean, there's so much that I look at. And that is a one-off piece of work. And I've done that for an awful lot of clients over the last couple of years. So that's the first thing. That's £497 for that kind of diagnostic review with recommendations. So that's a really kind of good place to start. If you then need a bit more hand-holding to put those recommendations into place, then I work with clients for 90 days where we do exactly the same process, but we also look a little bit more in depth at their brand. We look at their brand foundations. Who are you targeting? What's unique about your products and your brand? What's your positioning? What do you stand for as a business? All those sorts of brand elements, we look at that as well to make sure that we've got the messaging correct. And that's kind of like a 3-month basis that we work together to put your brand in a really good position with all the growth elements and all the advice that I've given you into place to have that growth engine that is starting to generate sales. And then if you want sort of further hand holding, or you want other advice in other areas of marketing, I work as a fractional marketing director where I can be booked to work in your business 1 day a week, 2 days a week. And you've got me there pretty much, as often as you want. I don't sort of say, oh, today's Tuesday, I don't work with you on a Tuesday. I'm there pretty much at hand to help with packaging advice, photography advice, copy, any, marketing strategy. So that sort of goes beyond just driving e-commerce revenue. So those are the 3 ways mainly.
That's brilliant. Thank you. So for anyone listening who's thinking, this all sounds great, but it's a lot and I don't know where to start, what's the first thing you recommend they do?
You need to get to grips with your metrics. That's the first thing I would do. If you've got a Shopify website, you're lucky. Those metrics are pretty much kind of there already. If you've got a WordPress website with WooCommerce, you might need to do a bit of your own calculations. I like to do my own calculations anyway, because I look at Google Analytics to look at website visitors, and then I look at the back of end website data to look at sales. The first thing is you need to know how many people are visiting your website. You need to know how many of them you're converting, and you need to know how much they're spending. So get to know those 3 metrics. That is your starting point. That is where you need to start. Calculate those 3 metrics, because then you know where you stand at present. As an example, with conversion rates, you might think, well, I have no idea what a good conversion rate is. It's different per industry. It can be 1.6% for some industries, and it can be 4.5% for other industries. So you need to sort of benchmark where you are. If you've got a conversion rate of 0.25%, that's pretty low, and you know that there's room for improvement. And knowing your website visitors allows you to try things and see what increases them. Knowing your conversion rate allows you to try things and see what is going to increase that rate. Same with average order value. So first thing, calculate those 3 metrics.
That makes sense. And then I guess from there, you can figure out what the priority is to focus on. Although it sounds like the way we've spoken through it here, so focusing on conversion rate, then average order value and web traffic is the way to go.
Definitely. And there are some kind of basic things to look at as well. Like, I mean, does your website look good? Have you got good photography? Or have you got shoddy photography where everything's slightly out of focus and it's not very clean and crisp? Have you got lots and lots of writing everywhere? Too much copy is like really not good on a website. That there's some basic kind of starter points, which is just make sure it looks good and it makes sense navigation wise. And then it is, right, what do I focus on to get that conversion rate up? Measure it, do something, measure it again, keep looking at it. I mean, I become obsessed with the numbers, and I look at clients' conversion rate sort of on a weekly basis, sometimes daily if we're running a promotion, because I like to see that things are working. So just tracking those 3 metrics can really, really help.
That makes sense. Thank you. Okay, so final question, Lisa, although you shared a lot for us today, probably need a bit of a breather, is what would your number one piece of advice be when it comes to increasing your website sales?
I think it's about focusing. It's really easy to feel really overwhelmed and to think, oh, I've got too much to do and I just don't know where to start. Just start with one change. If the one change is I need to improve my photography, then focus on that. If the one change is I need to introduce a starter kit, then focus on that. And just do one thing at a time and give each of those things your focus. When I went to EcoEgg for 3-4 years, I didn't change everything in the first, 3 months. There was lots of small changes over time, continually, that I focused on, that each made a little bit of difference. And those little bit of differences all add up over a year to a really big difference. So just give each thing that you try, just give it your focus.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you. And I think that makes, that will be so much more effective than trying to do everything in the first month and doing everything,
You won't know what's
50%
worked either. No.
Yes.
You won't know what's worked. You'll find it too overwhelming. You'll be like, oh, I don't know how to do that. And you'll half-heartedly do it. Choose one thing, do it really well, make that change, see how it's made a difference. Choose the next thing, do it really well, you'll see how it's made a difference. And don't rush into spending money on driving traffic until your website's working really well and looks good.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for absolutely everything you shared with us. So I'm going to put the links to where everyone can find you and connect with you in the show notes for this episode. And thank you again.
Thank you so much for listening right to the end of this episode. Do remember that you can get the full back catalogue and lots of free resources on my website, vickyweinberg.com. Please do remember to rate and review this episode if you've enjoyed it, and also share it with a friend who you think might find it useful. Thank you again, and see you next week. Hello, if you're selling on Amazon or you're planning to and you'd like ongoing support as you go, I've just opened the doors to my membership, Amazon Made Easy. It's a space of product-based business owners who want expert guidance, somewhere to ask questions and a bit of structure and accountability while they build and grow on Amazon. Inside you'll get regular live Q&A calls with me, optional co-working sessions, practical resources and a supportive community of people all working on similar things. It's designed to make selling on Amazon feel clearer, simpler and much less overwhelming, and to give you somewhere to go where you're stuck or unsure of what to do next. You can join at any time and stay for as long as it's helpful. And if you'd like to take a look, you'll find the full link in the show notes.